Welcome to the Buick Outdoors Podcast. I'm your host, Sheldon Marion, and on this podcast, we dive deep into the outdoors. We discuss hunting and fishing techniques, give you tips and tricks, tell stories, and everything in between to help you enjoy the outdoors. This podcast is brought to you by Northbound Gear. If you've been around here for a while, you have seen that I pretty well exclusively wear Northbound Gear pants, whether it's the adventure, water resistant, and cut resistant pants or the waterproof jeans. They're just excellent stand-up gear. They have those pants. They also have some summer pants as well that zip off into shorts. They have jackets, things for men and women, and they also have a bunch of accessories as well. If you want to check those guys out, they're at northboundgear.co. And for you guys listening and watching this, if you use the promo code Sheldon15 at checkout, you'll receive 15% off your order, and that's including the sale items. Also, with Northbound Gear, they partner up with One Tree Planted, so for every purchase, you also plant a tree. So head over to northboundgear.co, check those guys out, use the promo code Sheldon15 to receive 15% off, and get yourself some good gear. Hey everyone, welcome back to another Buick Outdoors podcast. I'm your host, Sheldon Marion, and today I'm doing things a little bit different. I've been so incredibly busy. I'm not sitting in the office here today and recording a podcast. I'm on the road, and I've been incredibly busy this last few months. This last couple of days has been quite the experience for me. So this spring, I was out exploring the area quite a bit, and one thing that I came across was a set of dinosaur tracks. So when I found them, I wasn't too sure what I found. They looked extremely similar to a Dinosaur Trackway site that was close by. So what I did was I took a couple of pictures of some of the prints that I found, and I sent it off to the Tumbler Ridge Museum. And I waited about a week or two to see if they'd get back to me or not, and they never did. So my next step was I reached out to the Royal BC Museum in Victoria. And if you don't know what the Royal BC Museum is, it's like the biggest museum in British Columbia, and they have like hundreds of thousands of archives and everything like that. And it's pretty well everything to do with like the history of British Columbia, including dinosaurs. And when I sent the info to them, I got an email back within about a week from the curator, who is Dr. Victoria Arbor, and she was extremely she really wanted to come out and see it. So she wanted a little bit more info and all that stuff. Plus, they were already planning on a trip to come up north to check out another trackway site that's really close by to this one. And so I got in contact with her. We've been talking back and forth for a couple of months now. And they invited me out to do a little bit of field work, and they also wanted me to show them where this potential new trackway site is. So when they came out, it lined up perfect that I was on days off and all that good stuff. So the first day out, we met up at the track site that they're going to be investigating at, and she just wanted to introduce me to the team and all that. And so I got introduced to the team, and everybody was all excited about doing their field work on top of checking out and investigating what could potentially be a new trackway site. So once we met with everybody, we shook hands and all that good stuff, she wanted to start the day off by going to my trackway site. And so we headed down to the stuff that I found. And when I originally found these tracks, what I found was I thought was two different tracks. There was one that's kind of like a four-toed kind of lizard looking thing, and then across the river there was some really big three-toed ones that are extremely similar to this other like actual known trackway site. And initially when we were there, we started looking around, and with more people, more eyes, and like trained eyes too. Like these are actual paleontologists, not some redneck guy like me just out looking at rocks and stuff like that. What we ended up discovering was that there was a three-toed meat eater, a four-toed kind of lizard, some big, I can't remember what they're called, but essentially it's a track that's probably 18 inches wide. It's a big three-toed thing. It's like a giant lizard that was a grass eater. And then we also found some bird tracks, possibly some very small mammal tracks, and we also found one track that it was like a giant grass eater with a track of a smaller grass eater inside of the other track, kind of a thing. So it was pretty nifty, to say the least. When we initially came out there, as soon as the paleontologist came down, they basically looked at the one track and went, "Oh yeah, that's 100% a dinosaur track." And then from there, it just sparked the interest of everybody. And it was kind of a surreal moment where it's like, I might have found dinosaur tracks, to guaranteed 100% you found not only a dinosaur track, multiple dinosaur tracks, to the point where they're calling it a new Dinosaur Trackway discovery. So for a guy like me, like, I've always been a bit of a fossil and rock nerd, so having a site that was discovered by me and then also confirmed by not just any old paleontologist, but a paleontologist from like a world-renowned museum, is just absolutely phenomenal. And while we were there, they're taking a bunch of pictures of everything. They're taking GPS marks. They're making little notes down and everything like that. So that in itself was a phenomenal day. Like that was the start of the day. That was the first 2 hours of our day, and we were out there for like 8 hours. So from there, we checked out the one side of the river. We confirmed that there was several different tracks and trackways from different dinosaurs, so that was cool. And then we went to the other side of the river, and we confirmed even more tracks. And there's also a part of the riverbank that kind of sloughed away, and what they were looking at is possibly even more dinosaur tracks that were kind of protruding out from the side of the rock. But the way it was protruding out, it was like a side cutout of it. So it's like the bottom of the footprint was sticking out, not like the top imagery. So that's another really, really cool thing that I got to be a part of. And man, I'm still like kind of blown away that I was able to find these dinosaur tracks, especially where it's at. It's underneath a very, very well-known bridge, and a place that's traveled by like potentially thousands of people, and either nobody has really paid too much attention to it, or maybe a lot of people have seen it but they didn't really think nothing of it, or there's been a bunch of people that know that it's there, it just hasn't gone reported. So this is one of those things where if you're in like the North Peace region, what some of the paleontologists were saying too is like any big slab of flat rock that you find, it has the potential of having dinosaur tracks on it. Some of them are partial prints, some of them are full-blown prints, like the ones that I found. And so if you are into looking for like dinosaur tracks and stuff like that, the Northeast region is just a phenomenal place to start and to go. And I filmed the whole thing as well too. So part of this too is that they're trying to draw eyes away from the main trackway site that we eventually went to later on that day and did more field work and field studies there. And they're kind of wanting to put eyes on other things just to protect this other area. So like with this, not only is it a new Dinosaur Trackway site that I found, it also helps preserve the other one by almost pulling people away from it, because not only is it easier to find, the tracks are very distinguished, and they can, they just want to keep people away from the other one. The other one, it is like it's in a provincial park. It's kind of protected by First Nations, and there's talks of them reburying the other site. So this way, it still gives people a chance to come out, look at dinosaur tracks. They can legitimately say that a local guy found this trackway site, and it's kind of a positive for everybody. Moving on from there, when we were done checking out my trackway site, we went to the original one that they came out to actually do some field work on and some more field studies on. And basically, they were just wanting to map it out a little bit more, expand the search area, and see what else is potentially there. So I spent 2 days on that track site with them. Lots of field work. Mainly what I was a part of was, they're basically doing two things. One, they were remapping it and drawing out where all the tracks are, and they're also expanding it. So I was part of the expansion part, because when they're doing like the mapping, they basically draw out 1 meter squares, and then they go around with a grid pattern basically, and they just draw out the tracks and the measurements and take a bunch of pictures. So for me to do any work with that, the only thing I could really do was like hold a tape measure and maybe mark them with like chalk. So they didn't really need a hand there. But with expanding the trackway site, they had a whole pile of overburden that had to come off, and we were just doing it by like 1 meter sections. So what I ended up doing was I went up with the other paleontologist to where they're wanting to expand it, and I was basically they put me there with a geology pick, a couple of brushes, and like a dustpan and brooms and stuff like that. So essentially what I was doing is I was scraping the top layer away, taking it, rifling it off over my shoulder into a pile. And in the meantime, once I got down closer to like the track layer, the way it works is you have like the base layer where the majority of the tracks are, and then there's probably 5 or 6 different layers on top of that. But with each layer, there's a potential of new tracks being in those layers. And then above that is you have like a bunch of overburdened stuff, like loose shale, dirt, roots, everything like that. So my job was to get rid of all the dirt and the roots and the shale. In the meantime, when I was starting to get closer down to the bottom, I'd say probably half a centimeter from the actual layer of tracks, I started to get into kind of, it's shale, but it started to look a little bit different. Like I've seen enough fossils now where I can tell where a fossil layer potentially is. So as I was scraping that stuff away, I was flipping everything up, and I was looking at the underside, see if there's anything substantial underneath that stuff. And what I ended up discovering, again, I made 2 discoveries now, is there was a layer of fossilized seeds. So with that, it's one of the things that's extremely rare for them to find, especially just in coordination with how close it was to the actual fossilized tracks itself. And what they're basically saying is, in a way, those seeds is what the dinosaurs were like stepping on almost. And with that, it's pretty cool because they took a couple of the samples. Some of them are extremely defined. You can see it's like you took a seed from a field and just placed it on a rock. Like, there was a couple that were like, there's no way of confusing it with anything else. Like, it is 100% a seed. You see the extremely defined shape of it. You can see the lines going up the middle of it. And yeah, so I found several samples of that. And it was significant enough that Victoria went over to her kind of grab bag kind of a thing. She pulled out sample bags. We bagged them, tagged them, and marked the GPS coordinates for it and the depth that they were at. And also they wrote me down as the collector. So not only, I don't know if I'm going to be named as like the discoverer of the other Trackway site, but my name is going to be in the Royal BC Museum archives for discovering these rare fossilized seeds. So, you know, in just a couple of days, you know, I'm still like baffled by everything. And, you know, it's phenomenal just what we have in our own backyards. And like, I'm not a paleontologist, but yet I'm making these potential massive discoveries just by flipping over a rock and looking down at it. So I mean, like, man, if you're into fossils, or your kids are, or whatever, it's such an amazing place to go to and to check out. And it's one of those things where like, it's kind of weird almost to me to be like proud of it, because like I didn't do anything real special to win like an award or anything like that. Like, it's not like a lifetime achievement of like physical hard labor work, you know. It was just pure luck. But at the same time, I am incredibly proud of it. And just knowing that my name's gonna be in the Royal BC Museum, it's pretty fascinating. It is really, really cool. Also, you know, word traveled pretty fast too. Now, you know, I had a interview with our MP there, but that was mainly just, you know, spreading the word of like Buick Outdoors and trying to get more people involved in the outdoors and everything like that. But you know, I've been invited to the Royal BC Museum to go kind of in behind the scenes there and check out their archives now. I'm being asked to be on a morning radio show, and you know, it's things have all of a sudden snowballed incredibly fast. And it seems like it's one of those things where nobody, I don't want to say nobody really cares about it, but it's like, I guess in a way, nobody really cares about it until it happens, and then all of a sudden, everybody wants to be involved, and everybody wants to know where it is, and like, you almost become an important person overnight. And yeah, it's been a little strange, but yeah, that's my 1 week in a nutshell kind of a thing. And now, you know, expanding on everything else that's been going on. So, you know, I haven't done a podcast in quite a while. You know, a few months ago, I did range day at the Hudson Hope Rod and Gun Club. I set up there. I just helped kind of volunteer for the day on the pistol range. It was a day where everybody can kind of come out. It's a free event. You can shoot pistols, rifles. There's a black powder presentation put on, and then I also met with a Canadian manufacturer for ammunition, And now I'm actually on my way to those guys' place to record a podcast with them and to kind of spread the word about what they're doing and hope to expand and grow their business. And with any luck, who knows, maybe I can partnerize with them or whatever, and maybe I can start shooting their ammo kind of a thing and kind of show them that you don't have to buy your ammunition from some great big huge major ammunition manufacturer. You can actually get ammo manufactured here in Canada and support a Canadian business. And and then after that, I'm going to work for a week, and when I get off, I'm heading off to Kitimat, where we'll be spending, I believe it's 3 or 4 days out on the ocean, living on the boat. We're going to be doing a pile of fishing. I don't know if the in-laws have everything set up for prawns, but we definitely have everything for crab, salmon, halibut, lingcod, rockfish, everything like that. We're going to be in Kitimat, or we might be able to hit up the one hot springs. And yeah, it's going to be an amazing time out at Kitimat. It's been a long time since I've actually gone out and done a fishing trip where we stay on the boat and actually just live out on the water. It's my preferred way of doing it. You save a lot of time and energy and effort, not having to go back and forth every day, dealing with people at the boat ramps and everything like that. You can just go out, fish whenever you want, for whatever you want, and at the end of the day, you go tie up to a dock or anchor up in one of the bays, and you just sit back, relax, hang out, and to me, it's a much better vacation, I think. You save on hotels, you save on food because you're not eating at the restaurant. You don't have to really fight tides overly too much, because there's a lot of times, depending on what boat launch that you use at which area, some places it doesn't really matter. Other places, like, you have to leave at high tide. If not, you just can't get out. The water's not deep enough. And it's gonna be just absolutely amazing. The other positive about staying on the boat is in the evening, you can be fishing on one side, throwing your crab trap on the other side, and you just sit back and relax and just enjoy it. You're not having to be in a rush constantly, you know what I mean? And I enjoy it a lot more. I'm more of a laid back kind of a guy. I don't like just go 24/7. I do that enough with my job and with YouTube and not so much podcasting, maybe a few months ago with podcasting. But it gets to the point where when you take a vacation, you want to actually relax. So when you take a quote unquote vacation and the first thing you gotta do is rush, it's not a vacation. It's not the way you go about it, I don't think. So at least this way, you can go out, you can do your thing, and you save a lot of money just not traveling back and forth. There's a lot of places where you wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning, you get on the water by 5 or 6, and the first thing you gotta do is travel like whatever it is, 15 to 30 miles, and just to get to the fishing spot. Where this way, you can wake up at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning and like you're there, So it's much easier, and I enjoy it way more. Plus, like I said, it kind of takes me back to my childhood, because that's the way we kind of started with our ocean fishing. Once we got out of like charters and Dad got his first boat kind of thing, there's government docks and stuff where we were at, and it was so nice being able to just go out, you do your fishing all day long, you come back, you tie up to the government dock, and like you get the turkey fryer going with a bunch of salt water in it, and on one side of the dock you're catching your bait, on the other side of the dock you're catching crab, and then eventually once you have enough, the crab, like the gills and stuff like that, you're now using that as bait to catch your other bait to catch more crab. And like, it's just phenomenal, especially when you pull up your crab trap, you have whatever 3 or 4 keepers, the water's already boiling, and that crab goes from the ocean to the cooker in about 10 or 15 seconds. And let me tell you, you have never eaten seafood that fresh ever. Like, I am so spoiled with what I have been able to have in my life, where like if I go to a restaurant and it's like king crab and steak, I don't want it, because to me it doesn't taste good. You know, it's not what fresh crab tastes like. I know what fresh crab tastes like. So for me, in a way, it's almost ruined me, but it has also made me cherish little moments like that so much. But yeah, I think I kind of want to keep this one a little bit short, and I hope this one works out. This is the first time I've ever done a podcast while I'm driving. I hope my microphone is turned on and recording. I hope where I have it set, it sounds good. Hopefully the camera's still rolling. I don't know, it fell off the window and whatever. It's all part of the fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this podcast. And yeah, I'm looking forward to recording more here and getting back into the podcasting world. And yeah, anyways guys, I'm out of here for this week, and hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you out there, out on the water or in the woods. See you on the next one.